going to Felder headquarters to...
Maybe cross-dressers don't come in.
I'm tempted, just, it has got a drip on it actually. Sort of letting this develop. There's your background, Matt. This is worth something, yeah? So pay attention. Welcome back, it's Matt at What's Joinery. Back on this job. It's actually Saturday morning. As I said last week, I've got sort of a fine, you know, I've got to really hit the weather, the good times. So we got rain at 12, so I just thought I'd come in 9 o'clock, come in 3 hours, all set up. And all I'm going to do today, it won't even take 3 hours to be honest with you, is address these doors. So again, it's all been done in such a way that it's been given as a repair. That's the option. I already know that these are repairable. I've already dug in there. That's relatively solid as it is. As repairable as these probably are, I'm just gonna, because I've got some timber around the back, I've set up the table saw, the miter saw, and a little bench. I'm gonna whip these off and we're gonna remake them. Ever so easy still on the table saw and the sander, because there's no real profile to it. If there's a profile to it, I'll either buy one, because we've got to match what's been cut into here, where the weather bar goes into the frame, or I would just make one in the workshop, which I haven't been in now for a couple of weeks. But yeah, we're not going to. We're just going to do it on site, which is how we used to do it. Believe it or not, this table saw, I've got 2 of these. This one, I think that's about 10 years old. That's actually made 2 kitchens. It's a brilliant bit of kit actually, what it is. Still true, still works well. Right, so we're going to whip this off, whack it in the tripod, and yeah, I'll just try and document as much as I can of it really. And and because I was really impressed with that 3C, whatever it was, easy repair. I really do need to start remembering the names of things. I don't know what's bloody called. Because I was so impressed with that, I'm going to whack that in these joins as well. You can see this is just 2 panels. Bit of a no-no actually for gluing 2 solid panels, and that's why. But I can fix that. It's no problem at all. We'll rake that out, and when we finish at the end of the day, I'll just whack loads of that epoxy in. I'll probably epoxy over the putty as well, because that's hardened with the paint and it'll stick. Yeah, they do say to prime it, so I've done a lot of research on that, and anyone that watched last week, you'll notice I didn't prime any of my wood, but the research I did said you don't have to prime it. Some people do, some people don't. This is from the actual website. And I actually use the wet rot hardener as a primer, because all you're doing is closing the pores of the timber so that doesn't respond too much and flake the filler off, which is flexible anyway. Same with the putty. Right, okay. Yeah, let's go. Yeah, right. I'm going to put the microphone on for this, so sound will be a bit odd. Maybe it's better, I don't know. I don't really know what I think of that microphone. Anyway, as you can see, started the musical bit, didn't quite work. That is actually, although this is sound here, well this one is anyway, that's rotten in there. So I'm actually going to take all this, I'm actually going to take it on the bench, and I'm going to track saw it off, and I'm going to put a whole new piece in. It just means I have to decorate it out on the inside, but it is only inside a little porch. Right, so yeah, change the plan, let's go. that's it then. About 3 hours for that. It's not too bad, is it? Got chatting actually to a bloke on the street. Interesting chap actually. Got asbestosis and horrible really, but lovely bloke. So yeah, lost a bit of time there. And then obviously it rained for a bit, so I just had to sit in the van for a minute. But yeah, the only downside is I've done it in softwood, and the doors are actually hardwood, which is a bit irritating because all this is softwood. All this is softwood apart from the sills. So I think these are the original doors. It's a slightly different detail to the other bits and bobs. So I think these are supposed to be a copied, like a 50s, 60s copy of those. But I had softwood with me. I was here to do it. It will outlast the doors because they just need constant decoration now because this is so flat. The water's got into here over time. Don't get me wrong, the hardener and stuff, the resin in there, it will do a good job of it. Oh, and yeah, I don't know if you saw me putting on the filler, the epoxy, sorry, but it's I started sanding a bit over here. To sand that by hand. It sands all right, it really does. You know, it's a little bit harder than the two-part filler, but it just goes on so well. So I've been a little bit rougher there, if I'm honest, but and I don't want to put too much on the. I don't want to put any on the paint really because I don't know how well it's not tried and tested for me. It is supposed to adhere well. I've sanded the paint. It's supposed to adhere well to it, and the paint's solid. Yeah, but it's a great product. It's an amazing product actually. Really, really. You didn't see me do the inside, but the inside's a real fine hairline filling I've got to put on there. It's so smooth to put on, and there's been like just no shrinkage on this, and it's been so hot. See, it's starting to go clear now. That's like completely flush to each other, so it is minimal shrinking. Right, I'll see you Monday. Yeah, weird one. Working Saturday, idiot. Bloody Sunday now. Yeah, if you go and watch this video, you'll see that I visited when I was doing a job for my mum. I visited my wife's. She's her own business partner. Got a bridal shop. This is their other bridal shop, which I mentioned in the video, but I wasn't there. Yeah, it's just a bit of work really that I've done this paneling. Actually ran these profiles out myself as well on the spindle mill, just to save a bit of money rather than spending like £5 a metre on skirting board architrave profiles. Got a secret door in there as well. Radiator covers. I come up with this nice little boxed plinth idea. There's a socket in there because actually on the other side is the data points because these were offices. And then just a bit of symmetry really with the other shop by creating this door system. Although I made the other doors, these ones we brought because we just didn't have time. Or I didn't have time, even though time is actually endless. But oh, and then also this curved reception counter. This is nice, isn't it? Just really got to do something with that wall, but again, it was just you got budgets and time restraints, a bit like last week's work really. Another radiator cover because the radiators are goddamn ugly here. And then yeah, oak veneer tops, still looks good. This is over a year old now. Doesn't really get obviously bashed because it's a bridal shop, but yeah. Why am I here though? Sorry, just thought I'd show this. Yeah, basically I'm here because doing a little bit of a repair. And the reason I picked you up is because if you watched last week's video, and if you haven't, go back and watch it, basically, because I'm just highlighting some of these clowns out there. It just made me laugh because I picked up my silicone gun just to do this little repair. And I went to just instinctively just do that thing where I've used it recently and there's still a bit of silicone in there. Pull that out, bit of dry silicone, look. Pull that bit of dry silicone out and the gun's ready to go. Is that a top tip? No, it's not. Am I getting 400 likes? No. But there's clowns out there giving top tips on that and they're getting 400 likes. Actually, probably a 1,000 likes now. I'm not going to name them, but there's carpenters out there, roofers out there. There's roofers and carpenters of the bloody year, social media moguls getting thousands of likes. And why are we putting up with it? Why are we putting up with it? It's doing my head in. Anyway. If you're a cross-dresser or you're looking to get married, you're in the Northamptonshire, Cambridgeshire or Bedfordshire area, Icon Bridal. It's your one-stop shop. There's 2 shops. Go check them out. Fantastic service. Lovely girls. Maybe cross-dressers don't come in. Unless like you're just like
basically, if you're a pervert and a crossdresser, don't come in because my wife doesn't want that. She's had a couple in her time, but but if you're a crossdresser and you're nice enough with it, then obviously, yeah, come in and get a dress. Yeah, see you Monday.
Good morning. It's a bank holiday Monday at 10 o'clock. I've just come in just to this job, just for a little bit, just going to put a few hours on it. I'll go around the back, I'll show you. I just thought as well, I don't think I did mention it, but the only thing I've done on this that is probably a bit of a no-no is this is one solid bit of timber running all the way through, you know, on the back. You know, you probably picked it up on the video. Basically, it's only about 50 mil, and I thought, is it worth cutting a bit of 50 mil, cutting a bit of 50 mil, then jointing it and putting another bit in, whatever that is, 50 mil deep by the length of that. It's just more things to go wrong. This end grain's where it's going to accept the moisture, you see, and doing it this way, I'm still putting the same amount of end grain joints in because it's only about 50, 60 mil. The chances of that twisting and moving on an old set of doors, I don't know, maybe I'll get criticism for that, I don't know, but is that what you'd do? Just put a piece in? I wouldn't do, and it's softwood, which again, you know, I've gone through, wrong budget. But yeah, I just thought I'd mention that really. I just thought, not really to stop anyone else mentioning it, but just more just to, you know, make you aware that I am aware that it's not necessarily always the right thing to do. Right, so today I've got this. Now there's like a gutter above that. So that top piece is a gutter, which is leaking and causing all that damage. I don't think I'm going to get this profile anywhere. So you see a bit of water dripping there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to investigate by cutting a bit out, see how rotten it is. I would say 90%, I'm 90% sure that's so rotten I can't repair that with resin. I think that rot would have transferred back too far to be able to resin a bit in. And I haven't done a lot of this resin, so I'm a bit uncomfortable about doing a big chunk of it. Like, you know, you see these lovely videos where people are shaping and moulding it, but that's probably beyond my skill set, I'd have thought, around that corner. I mean, I'm not going to take it back to that joint. There's no point, because I can see that's a one piece looking at that joint actually. I just think if I take it, well, it won't be, it'll be a plant, yeah. But anyway, if I take it back to that joint, I'm not going to get anything to match. I don't think so anyway. I could cut a piece out somewhere, you see. What I was thinking was I could cut a piece out, like, depending on how wide that is, and then remiter it and put it back in and resin that back in, and then resin that piece back in. I don't want to do that, but that would be a really good way, because it's easier to, it'd be a good way of resolving it, because it'd be easy to resin a piece out that I cut, and then because I've got two profiles to, you know, if I say cut a piece there, I'd have two bits to drag the filling knife over to resin the infill, and then that piece I cut out, I probably wouldn't be able to miter it, but I could put it back in, it'd give me something else to sort of screed off, to gauge off, rather than gauging just off the end, because that's where the knife will go wrong and it will make a mistake. I don't know if that's translated really to making my point, but yeah, so I'm going to investigate that now. Not a daunting job, they're only little, aren't they? But these are the sort of things that, when you've got a whole front house of windows to do, you don't really want to be thinking about. But now this is all I'm doing today. It's only going to be a couple of hours because I want to get home and, you know, spend a bit more time with the kids and whatnot. You know, it's not much of a job, is it? Right. One more and I'm going to put the camera down. Well, that's sort of escalated quite quickly actually. It wasn't in that bad a condition, but it was full of water. So it was holding water here. I think it's coming out here. So when I was multi-tooling this, it was literally spraying everywhere. It's all over the window. I've taken the gutter piece out. This is all a one piece. I could potentially go back to the workshop. The only problem is I'm having problems with the spindle moulder. Like it basically failed on me last time I used it, and I got it back working. It did what I was doing, but there were only little cuts. I don't know. I'm tempted. It has got a drip on it actually. So there's quite a lot of work in getting that right on the spindle moulder, and then there's getting it exact. And then if I get so close to my spindle moulder breaks, I'm bollocksed. I'm supposed to be going this week to look at a new one. But anyway, it's not the point. The point is this. I think I'm going to go down to the merchants, like Wicks or somewhere, and see if I can pick up a series of plant-ons and make a piece. I've actually cut this. I'll stand back in a minute and show you what I've done. But there's a bigger issue, and that's that these gutters don't line through, and there's only one outlet, and it's over there. So I think what's happening is this is constantly full of water, and that side is never. I've cleaned it out a little bit, but it's black over there. That's never actually getting to here. When it does, it sits in here, and the gutter piece is lower because it's like that piece there. It sits lower. You see, so although that's great for the ones that join on the corner, I think these are supposed to go all the way through and be mitered, so that when they sit in the corner, they're sort of mitered. You silicone that join as they go, because they go inside. So it'd go inside there, and it'd just be where that weld line is. Actually, you just miter it to there, and then you could just silicone that. But they've cut it square, and also not that far in on that side. Yeah, I can't do anything about that. I ain't got any more gutter in. I might be wrong. I'm just assuming. So what I've done is I've measured back 20mm from the edge of the gutter. Measure back 20mm from the edge of the gutter. Well, it's from that trim actually. It won't show now because they're cut different. But then I've cut a straight line on both sides, so that basically, you look at the profile. I'm going to replicate that detail because there's a step detail at the top. When that goes back in, there'll be a step like there was originally, and I'll replicate that a bit further down. So if the profile's not 100%, you shouldn't pick it up. It's either that, or I just kind of feel as well like it's going to be a serviceable part. I know it doesn't sound great, but I'm going to put some CT1 in that joint and redo it back up. But I can't say that's not going to leak in 5 years' time, can I? Right, that's it then. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I was sort of proposing. So I've sort of mirrored not mirrored, I've stepped it in a little bit, just the gutter in line where the bracket is, where it joins the corner trim, if you like, of the gutter in. I've just stepped it in exactly the same amount on each side, just to give it a bit of detail. And then I've epoxied it right up to the actual gutter in, because the actual other brackets, they go down to the trim as well. Just makes it look sort of uniform. Obviously it needs a bit of a rub and a paint, but yeah, let me know what you think. It's basically, it's just a series of plant-ons, and then I filled those gaps with polyurethane PVA when I glued it up and screwed it in. Yeah, pretty close detail-wise, but it's not an exact match, is it? And you know what I don't like about it. What I don't like is there's a little bit of end grain on show. What I do like about it is it looks a little bit different. Yeah, let me know what you think. Would you have messed around on a spindle molder trying to get that profile exact? And when we saw it is a solid piece, so it's out of the wind. It's a solid piece, so it's not likely that I'll be able to buy anything or buy a load of trims that will be exactly the same. That bottom one looks like one you buy, but yeah, even when I put that together, it's not quite square. So yeah, let me know what you think. You know, is that acceptable to do it that way, or should I have spent the time and effort trying to marry it in? You can see the joins will always show those. That's my main concern. But yeah, right, that's it. Well, good morning. It's Tuesday. I'm on these repairs. I've done the other side of the house already, and I've replaced a bit of timber. But yeah, I just want to give you a top tip, and this is actually a top tip. This isn't taking dried silicone out the end of a tube. This is worth something, yeah? So pay attention. You want to bring someone in. I'm in the village, so I was going to get one of my kids to foot the ladder today, but basically, you have to park the van. Put your van up to it, wedge your tyre against your ladder, and that's it. You're footed. You're safe. You can even climb on your van to get onto your ladder. If I turn it the other way around, which I did on the other side, you can get onto the roof of your van and then get onto your ladder. Safe as houses. Right, I'm not going to do any more today, filming wise, because all I'm doing really is facing a few bits of timber very safely, and got to do some sanding. Really, just going to sand everything I've put on, all the epoxy. and then we're on to another job tomorrow. Probably finishing that bathroom, I think, or I've got to do some skirting boards or something as well. And then we're starting making some doors and windows in that oak porch. So I'll speak to you tomorrow. Right, good morning. It is Wednesday morning. Wednesday? Is it Wednesday? Yes, it is Wednesday. It's a bit of a shame, really. I don't go live with this stuff because someone could perhaps help me with what I've done with these two shelves. Not these two. I know where they two are. They're in front of them two are. They're in front of me. But I'd already cut these, stained them, stacked them to one side. Yeah, therefore, and I can't find them, so I have to redo them. So therefore, this bathroom up here, which I'm going back this morning to finish. Yeah, I've just come into the workshop to pick everything up. Thankfully I hadn't thrown these solid oak ones out. I've got them all the rest under there, so I'm going to give them a quick clean off. But frustratingly, yeah, I've had to come in and redo these shelves, like because I just can't find them. But yeah, I use these. It might be quite interesting. I use these electrical conduits banged into the MFT tops, just when you're doing like a little bit of, you know, staining, and you got to be quite quick with it. You want to turn it around quickly, and you can't wait for the other side to dry. And you'll see actually there's no marks on there from the conduits. And yeah, then I've got to go back to this job and do the skirting boards in the afternoon. Probably won't film access to skirting boards. There's quite a few people there today, so. And then tomorrow I've actually got an appointment. I'm going to Felder headquarters to look at a new spindle welder. And I don't really know if I don't know if that's a good thing or not to be buying a spindle welder, but I don't know. There's other stuff I could buy. There's loads of stuff I could buy. I don't use a spindle welder very much, but I have got quite a lot of jobs coming up that require a spindle welder, and I haven't. And that one's broke. So do you buy a really nice one or just a cheap Chinese crappy one? I don't know, because I can't risk buying another second-hand one, because that is just heartbreaking. That is the amount of effort, time and effort I've put into getting this thing up and running, and something else is, although it hasn't gone wrong again, but I just know that next time I use it, it'll go wrong. Right, so I'll update you when you get to this bathroom. We'll show you, I'll show you how I do these. Well, I won't show you how I do them, but I'll show you the finished result of these pegs in these banjo fittings, I think they're called, from Hayfield. Comment if you know how to say it. Don't spell it, because obviously I know how to spell it, I just don't know how to say it. Right, speaking a little bit. As promised, this is it. I'm done. Try and get a shot for maybe perhaps a thumbnail or something. So yeah, basically, this is an install that I've made all this. I actually reduced and made all that paneling as well to suit. You can see that's come out a treat now. So we wanted even panels for the side of the window. Yeah, so the whole point, I don't think I need to put enough lights in that, because basically I've just supplied the joinery for this. I did a drawing, so I'll put the drawing on the screen now actually, of what I proposed. It's more or less, you know, it was a lot of drawings to be fair, because he did change it. I think he's made the right decision as well. Still quite a spacious room. Got your towel rail, got your big shower, got your vanity unit. We changed the door, swinging around, so you've got plenty of room when you come in. And then the biggest upset in here really was the fact that window is not in the middle. So I sort of come up with this is the bit that I've introduced really. Everything else was what he wanted, more or less. I mean, I drew it a couple of different ways, but my sort of idea, my take on it was basically, it annoyed me that window wasn't in the middle. So in order to bring it in the middle, I've made this unit here, which I think is, you know, creates a little bit of interest. You could have the shelves staggered as well if you wanted, you know, just to make it a little bit, just to break away from the symmetry, but then you regained your symmetry with the bath in the middle. Yeah, I think it looks good. I'm really happy with it, and I really like this minimalist approach. This little detail I've created here, I think that looks really good. You know, it looks a lot better than putting an architrave around it. And you can see we've kept it quite minimal everywhere, really. We've got our dummy panel here. A couple of little cupboards. I mean, there's not much to them, is there? But, you know, it's better than nothing. And then we've got, we've got this unit here, which I think looks nice. Where by the time the floor goes in, I'm going to suggest to the customer to get the same colour as the wood. So I'll put a bit on the van. I'm actually going to go see the floor there now because he's on another job that I'm going to. So I'll speak to him about it, take some photos, or give him this video, I suppose. Yeah, and then if you look closely, these are the drop the phone. Basically, the last kitchen I did, if you go and watch, if you remember, if you watched that I had these sockets that I installed for the shelves. They're actually a Hafley, I don't know, Hayfield fitting. I think they're called a banjo socket. But basically, I've been using them now, a couple of jobs, and I've put these timber dowels in. The only downside to these, I couldn't get oak dowels. The bloke who did them for me last time was on holiday, so I've had to get bamboo ones off eBay. But they haven't taken the stain very well. But basically, it's like chrome sockets, 7.5 mil, and then you bang in a 7 mil dowel. And I just think it makes a nice detail for the shelves. It makes a really nice detail, actually. Yeah, I use it on the LR32 system. I've gone through this on another video. The only thing I've got to do though, if you're drilling holes, you know that the difference between 0.5 mil is quite a lot. You can't use an 8 mil because the socket will just fall out, and it's a 7.5. So I could just get a 7.5 mil drill bit, but I reckon I'll be able to get a 7.5 mil spiral router bit for my festival router, and then that'll just be able to do it in one go. Because what I have to do is I have to do these with a 5 or a 6, depending on what I've got in the machine at the time. Now I ream them out, which is what's taken a little bit of time on this. I've just had to clean all the reaming out of the holes. Anyway, yeah. Hello. Yeah. What I did that for? Sorry. Right. Yeah. So I'll just try and get a little finish my jiggy. That's me done. I probably won't film the rest of the day. But yeah, you don't often get don't often get to see the finish, but I think that looks quite nice. Right, good morning. It's Thursday morning. Where am I? Who knows? Guess. I'm here. Yeah. So I've got to cut that channel out. So if you look at that video, you'll see when I've done that. Why haven't I cut the channel out? Well, you watch that video, you don't know it's my mum, and sometimes these things happen, don't they? You just go to the back of the queue and tell her that way. But yeah, so I'm going to do that today. And I'm here because I've got a series of odd jobs to do, putting photos up, taking beds apart, moving. There's a whole list of things just gone around the house. So I'm not going to film, they're very boring, but I have got just the front door, so I'm just going to show you that. Basically, if you look at the margins here, they're running out down the bottom. So that wants shifting over. So I've marked all the locks, and basically it's not quite catching at the bottom. And sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. There is a bit of adjustment. I have adjusted them already, but this is just getting worse. And basically, the guy that fitted it, reputable firm in the area, sort of know the guy as well, to be honest with you, from a long time ago. I've noticed that when he fitted it, he'd obviously noticed there was a problem, and he's put a packer, silicone packers in behind the hinge. But what he'd done, see, this is why it's quite interesting. It's called hinge throw. So when you silicone a packer behind the hinge, you'd be right in thinking that you putting a packer behind there would cause that door to come over, which would, rectify the problem. However, this thing called hinge throw, that packer is only doing its job if it's causing this hinge to come over. Now you can see that he's put the packer over here, which is actually causing the hinge to be at that angle. And I wish I had photoed it before I took it off, but it pretty much was at that angle. Can you see how it's at an angle going back? So that angle is actually causing the hinge to go further that way. So although he's put a packer behind it, it's caused the opposite effect. Yeah, hinge throw. That's what I call it anyway. There might be another name for it, maybe a more technical name. And I do believe, I might be wrong. I don't know a great deal about these. I don't know what brand it is. I've fitted a few of these composites, but I do believe that if you've got a special tool, you can do something to send the hinge over. I think, or that special tool will send this hinge up and down. But I haven't got something that fits in there, which is unfortunate. It's basically just like a hex. Oh, actually, I might have. Oh, yeah, maybe the end of a drill bit holder might go in. I'll try that now. But yeah, I've got a funny feeling like it doesn't send it up and down, doesn't send it out. So what I'll do is I'll mess around with it and I'll probably put a packer here. So if you pack this side out and actually create the opposite of that, so that is then going like that. So this plate here, rather than being at that angle, is at that angle. That will be pointing this hinge over here, which will be creating the effect you want. It's not that complicated, but unless someone explains it to you, you'll be right in thinking that just anything behind, you might be right in thinking, in your head, you'd be thinking, yeah, just anything behind here is going to cause it to move over. But obviously, as I've said, you can put it in the wrong place there. And it also depends where your screws are. Put it in the wrong bloody place, and it's going to send that way. So yeah, we'll fix that. Then we'll do a series of odd jobs, and then I'm off to Felder in the afternoon. If I can get all these, well, I will get these done. It's in Milton Keynes. They've got like a showroom where they've got all new, and I'm hoping ex-demo spindle moulders. Basically, want a deal. Don't know what I'm going to do tomorrow. I've got to start another job. Picking up timber, machining for these doors and shutters, wood doors and shutters. So I'll probably pick you up for that. Good morning. It's Friday morning. This, unfortunately, is going to be the extent of the filming today. So yesterday, you know that I went to Felder's sort of headquarters, if you like, to look at some spindle moulders to essentially replace that. Unfortunately, a spindle moulder is a tool that I probably use the least. I'm annoyed that I've got to replace it. So I'm in an hour in the model that they want to sell me is working out about 4.5 including. I don't know. So I've just got to think about that this weekend. I think it's a good deal for what I'm getting. Don't get me wrong. I didn't do any filming there, but if you go and check out, I'll put a link down below to a video of a guy from, I think his name's Alistair Johnson. He's actually been there. As soon as I walked in, I was like, oh, I've seen this place on the video, and I was talking to the bloke about him. Yeah, so I just thought, what's the point? He'll do a much better video, and has done than I could do. Right, what's happened this morning is I'm starting this job, which I'll put a picture up on the screen. That's a set of double doors for a log store, hardwood doors. So I've suggested to Peely, they've agreed that. I agreed this about a month ago. And some shutters to match, which I'll put a picture up of as well, just to replace the existing, because they're sort of rotten. They're beyond repair, or certainly beyond, they just want new, so I'm doing new. However, I've got a system where I've got 2 of these books, one for the workshop and one for the van, and I left the one for the van at home. So I basically went to go pick up the timber and didn't know what size I was buying, so I've just taken a bit of a punt. So this will be interesting, won't it? I'm going to start making them next week. But essentially, I think that's enough for the doors, plus the frame. Obviously, I've got to make the frame and the sill. That's enough for the shutters, plus anything that's either left over from this, or this, which is the not raised, tongue and groove panels for those doors. Lovely wood though. So I've been Glenmere's this morning, picked this up. I just think, yeah, I'm just so happy with them as a company. If truth be told, I was in there for a good 5-10 minutes. If truth be told, I was in there for a good sort of hour just chatting to the bloke. Different, but every time I go in, I speak to someone new. But they're all lovely. They're all, linked to the family in some way. Right, okay, yeah. So that's all in. So what I'm going to have to do now is just document every size board I've got. It's bad planning, really, and take that home at some point over the weekend. I am going to just I might have to do a new drawing just to make some of these sizes work, depending on what I can get out of it. You've got to make an allowance really. I'll measure them as an average, but you can see, you know, as good as the timber is, there'll be bits that perhaps taper out a little bit. So I've got to make lovely boards though. I mean, I'm waffling, but look at them. Such nice boards. Yeah, they really are. Yeah, so yeah, so that's me done in the workshop today. I just thought if I come in, load that out, leave them in over the weekend, do my plan, come in Monday, hit it hard, start of a week, start of a new job. I've been through this before, just how my head works. It works better. I've spent years and years and years cramming work in, not interested anymore. I could do with it, don't get me wrong. I've still got a fair few more years left in me to do it, but I think about that, just make it a little bit easier for yourself. Just learn how, you know, learn how my mindset, how my head works. And it works better for me to go get all this ready. Even to the point I've got to call in on someone on Monday morning. That's annoying me. But basically, I can just come here Monday morning with a plan and smash it. And I reckon with a good mindset and a good plan on Monday morning or Monday day, I could probably have 2 to 3 days work done, because that's just, I'll just work better like that. You know how you work yourself, don't you? Yeah, so unfortunately that's pretty much going to be it. What I am going to do for the rest of the day is these 2 videos that I've just put up on the screen, you'll notice they're all numbered. That's just simply week 1 to week wherever I am. It's how long I've been doing this YouTube. It's just the way I've done it. It's like a diary really. You know, it doesn't necessarily work for the format of videoing, but it's just the way I've decided to do it, and I quite like it really. For my own, again, just for my own mindset, I like, it's how I deal with it. It works well. Anyway, that job's North London. Now, I didn't really go for this at the time, but I pretty much only work within half hour of my house, of the workshop in the house. But I sort of took that job on based on a recommendation from a previous kitchen I did. I can't remember if I went through this or not, if I ever did cover it in one of the videos. I don't think I did. I know I spoke about it. I'm not sure I put it in the video. But basically, the reason I took that job on, other than the fact it was a recommendation, was I was curious to see whether I could make this sort of work, like, you know, make money on it by doing it away from home. And yeah, I did all right on it, to be honest with you. It was quite good. I think a lot of it was because there was so much done in the workshop, and then there was 2 weeks on site, and I had a good 2 weeks fitting as well. What did kind of kick the arse out of it a little bit was the ULEZ charge, you know, which is a big hot topic at the moment. I think that's criminal, really. But anyway, I've got to go back down today because one of the floating shelves, the light strips, has failed. It's probably just a loose connection. I think the tiler's had the bracket. Well, I know he would have had to have the brackets off the wall to tile, and I've just maybe something's, you know, they're only small gauge cables, the low voltage stuff. So basically, I've got to go down today to fix that. Now, it'll be interesting to see over this next year how many times I've got to go back. I don't often have to go back on my work, trust me, but if I've got to go back, you know, once every couple of months and pay this bloody ULEZ, is that job worth it? It's hard to know, really. But yeah, I'm not actually going to film it. I've got to put finished shots up on the screen now, a couple. The customer did send me them. Obviously, I can get them today, but it'll be subject to how tidy the house is. They've got a young baby as well. But unfortunately, I've actually got a mate who lives in Hackney, which is not far. It's only 1 junction down, because that was in Leytonstone. Yeah, I'm just going to go out for a few beers with him, just make a night of it, really. Or an afternoon or what have you. See how we go. Yeah, so yeah, thanks for anyone that's watched. Kind of like not really sure how this week's gone, really, because I've probably really covered what I was doing last week more in the videos than anything else. But yeah, you know, if you enjoyed it and you've stuck around this far, I'd really appreciate a like. I'd really appreciate a comment. You know, I'm loving the comments, and I really appreciate anyone that hasn't already subscribing. It is, I've just gone over 400, which I can't believe. I really can't believe I've gone over 400. But equally, I've seen times where it's shot, it's gone right up, and I can't really gauge what it is that I'm doing right or wrong. But equally, how much of it I would change anyway, I don't know, because what I am really focusing on is look how professional I am with a microphone. What I am focusing on is just doing that how I want to do it, and sort of letting this develop. There's your background, Matt. Letting this develop how I want. rather than sort of forcing it and doing. And you know, I did do a bit of research on what you should and shouldn't do, and I just thought, nah, I don't want to make that intensive where I'm just following the pattern. I'm doing it, like documenting, just even me now talking crap really. Yeah, anyway, so next week we'll get straight on. Oh, and I've got to do that porch as well from here. I've got to do that porch next week. Well, I've got to start it. So let me just flick you around. Yeah, so next week will just be simply a case of machining all this for the doors that I've just put pictures of. And I've got some prices now in for, this is an interesting one actually. I've got some prices now in for the porch, for the oak. It's going to be a bugger doing it because it can't be done in green oak because we're putting glass in it. It's going to be an absolute bugger doing it in European oak, like kiln dried, because trying to get that in 4 inch for posts is impossible in joinery grade that I've found anyway, local, and I need to be selecting that. I can't be having it delivered and it being a load of crap. B, prime's so expensive and I'm not sure it'll work. It will look right. So I might be doubling them up and maybe thinking of, just thought of it, double them up. So I put two 2 inches together but 4 inches wide to make a 4 inch post, and then put a bird's mouth detail where they join, like a bevel, and then actually router in a join on the face. So it looks like it's a profile routed into a 4 inch post. That might work. Anyway, it's good to talk. Right, see you next week.